situation.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
We have a special gift for you. Now you can download podcasts of our shows. Listen whenever and wherever you want. It's all on demand. Just check out 969thegame.com/podcasts.
FM 96.9 The Game. WYGM Orlando. WJRR HD2 Cocoa Beach, Orlando. The home of the UCF Knights.
Time to put the pedal to the floor. It's loud and live and local. Oh, time for open mic.
Correctamundo, we are loud, live, and local on this Tuesday morning and every weekday morning from 6 to 9:30 a.m. So many ways to listen to us. FM 96.9 The Game, AM 740 HD, high def 101.1-2. That's on the FM dial, obviously. You can also listen to us on your phone by downloading that free iHeartRadio app. You can listen on your smart speaker. You can find us on podcast. If you can't listen to us live, just go to 969thegame.com/podcast or anywhere you get your podcast and look for 96.9 The Game and Open Mic on Demand. That's our entire show. You can listen to at your leisure. You can also watch us on social media, on Twitter, on Twitch. We prefer you go to YouTube, search for the Open Mic live stream, and you can see us live and in color right there on the YouTube machine. Welcome to Open Mic. I'm Mike Bianchi, the Bulldog sports columnist of the Orlando Sentinel. Joining me as always, I can see him right there on the YouTube feed. That's Adam Reardon, the Deceptive Intellect. And of course, Austin Pistolka is the Sultan of Sound with a new haircut today.
You know, Mike, I was going to mention that. I've got a haircut today, and I feel weird about it. I cheated on my barber, and I feel a little gross for cheating on Gio like that.
Yeah, I've been cheating on my barber for years. Yeah.
It's different when you actually have hair. There's a difference between cheating on and just not seeing. I'm sorry, you've grown apart.
I remember I was I checked in yesterday on the live feed because I do the show from home, whereas you and Adam are in studio, and I heard Adam Reardon was talking about something to do with his hair back in the day and how his hair was always the sort of the door opener for ladies.
The
when
introduction.
He was, yeah. So, you know, it reminded me of the days back when I used to have a full head of hair. That's what I used to go to the barber, all right? And the barber would go, "You have the thickest hair I've ever cut." He could barely get his clippers through my hair. And then what happened? I used to have beautiful hair. Yeah. I don't know what happened.
I don't know, Mike. What kind of hard drugs did you get into in college?
I think it was all those deadlines and getting up at 3 a.m. every morning.
Oh, the hard drugs of stress. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Life caught up with Mike Bianchi's hair.
Yeah, it was all the newspaper deadlines, and of course, the divorce didn't help either. All
As
right?
you kept getting ahead in your career, your hairline was receding inch by inch.
Yes. All right, we want to hear from you throughout the course of the show. Why is that? Because we are the People's Show. Many ways to get in contact with us. Give us a call, 407-916-8255. You can tweet us at 969 The Game. You can also text us on our Academy Sports and Outdoors text line. That's 50857. We begin every show with an open mic early morning inspirational quote of the day. This comes from the great Roy T. Bennett, and I quote, "Turn your obstacles into opportunities and your problems into possibilities." End quote. Anybody want to take that a little deeper?
Well, I mean, it's kind of akin to what we had yesterday, which is, turn your obstacles into opportunities. Those steps that could trip you up, turn them into launch pads. Now, what was the second part of it?
Turn your problems into possibilities.
Yeah, same thing. Same thing. That guy's a day late and $1 short compared to whoever came up with yesterday. I mean, it feels
what
like
was yesterday's.
It was basically
Yesterday's
about
was
something
a
about
stepping stone and a stumbling block or something.
Yeah, this is a guy. This guy right here is the Pepsi to yesterday's guy's Coca-Cola. Hey, you guy did pretty good with that quote. Let me change the recipe a smidge.
Let me change that around a little bit. Yeah, Roy T should be RC.
That's right. Yeah, he's the RC Cola.
RC Cola. He's the knee-high grape of yesterday's. Yeah. Okay. So we appreciate Roy T. Bennett, even if he did rearrange yesterday's quote.
Who is Roy T. Bennett? Do you know? Who's Roy T. Bennett?
I have no idea who Roy T. Bennett is. He was just on a list of inspirational quotes.
Do you have one of those tearaway calendars that has an inspirational?
I used to have one. Yeah, I used to have one of those. Yeah, okay. I don't have one of those anymore. So yeah, I used to get one of those every year for Christmas. Somebody would always get me the quote calendar.
Word of the day.
I used to buy the one for myself, which was the Far Side calendar.
Oh, yeah, I used to love that one.
Oh, Gary Larson's a genius.
Yeah. Although when I would get those tearaway calendars, it would always be like, I'd tear away for, a few days and then, I'd forget to do it. And then like months later, it's still on, January 16th and it's like the middle of March.
Yeah, no, January 16th. I mean, 2 weeks. Yeah. 2 weeks you spend actually reaching over every morning, tearing that thing off. And then before you know it, you look down there and it's like, January 16th. It's March 24th. I don't understand.
All right, let's start with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers doing their level best to keep the band together for another Super Bowl run. We talked about yesterday Tom Brady restructuring his contract so they could perhaps sign Shaq Barrett to a new deal. Well, that's exactly what they did at the beginning of free agency yesterday. Moments after free agency opened, Shaq Barrett agreed to a 4-year deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, $72 million. That includes $36 million fully guaranteed. He posted a photo of himself from last month's championship celebration on Instagram, writing, quote, "So excited to be part of the Bucs organization for 4 more years. 4 more years. 4 more years." Not long after that, star tight end Rob Gronkowski agreed to a 1-year deal worth $10 million to return to the Buccaneers. And this is huge. This is huge. We'll start with Gronk, all right? The guy obviously still has value. We certainly saw that in the Super Bowl when he scored 2 TDs, was the Bucs' leading receiver in the Super Bowl. Hell, he almost had 3 touchdowns. Remember he caught that one pass over the middle and got tripped up? He would have gone the distance there if he hadn't got tripped up there. So Rob Gronkowski, I think the Bucs were actually load managing Gronk during the regular season just to unleash him in the Super Bowl because he was back to being a beast in the Super Bowl. I think they were just, hey, we'll throw the ball to Cameron Brate. The last half of the season, lull our opposition to sleep, and then boom, they unleash Gronk in the Super Bowl, and now Gronk will be back next year. But as Adam Reardon has pointed out all along, bringing back the key components to this defense is the major move that the Buccaneers are making. Shaq Barrett played last season. He was under the franchise tag last year, $15.8 million. Franchise tag. He had 8 sacks in 15 games last year. He had 74 pressures last year. That led the NFL, and he was a monster during the championship run. Absolute monster. What did he have against your boy Aaron Rodgers in the NFC Championship game, Austin? Didn't he have like 3 sacks against Aaron Rodgers in the championship game?
He had himself a day.
Yeah. He had another sack in the Super Bowl, and if it hadn't been Patrick Mahomes, he would have had about 3 other sacks because he had 4 hits on Patrick Mahomes during the Super Bowl, 4 pressures, 1 sack. And again, this is huge for the Bucs. They already have Chris Godwin secured. They franchise tagged him. They re-signed Levante David. Now they have they have some other free agents out there. And Ndamukong Suh, he'd like to come back, but do they have the money to bring him back? Same with Antonio Brown, Leonard Fournette, their kicker Ryan Suckup. So again, there's still some free agents out there, but would everybody agree that the Bucs now have brought back the key nucleus players of their Super Bowl team?
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about it. One, if as long as Brady's going to play, Gronk's going to want to play with him, so that was easy to shore up. To me, the defense is the most important because we saw in moments, whether we want to admit it or not, athletes, our favorite athletes, our heroes, get old, and it happens. And we saw in moments in the playoffs, in the second half against the Packers, Tom Brady didn't look like the best quarterback in the history of this league. He looked like a bad quarterback. And the reason they won that football game was because that defense bowed up and made stops when they needed to. And so I think that the team recognizes we got to keep this defense together just in case this is the year that more of those moments that Brady gets old. And listen, that's not a shot at Brady. The guy's old. I mean, he's technically he's old. I mean, he's George Blanda old. He doesn't look it, but on his birth certificate, he's George Blanda old. So getting the defense tightened up says to me that this team's going to be a playoff team regardless. Now, the play of Tom Brady, and if it can stay at a consistently high level, makes them a Super Bowl front runner. But locking up that defense and making sure those pieces stay in play makes it where this team, I have no question in my mind, are they going to be at least a playoff team, worst case scenario.
Other big free agent signings yesterday. Fitzmagic leaving the Dolphins. Ryan Fitzpatrick headed to the Washington football team. He signed a one-year deal worth $10 million. The ultimate journeyman. Looks like he's going to be starting again this year for the Washington football team. I was reading the story this morning. All right, so he's 38 years old. 38 years old. This is his 17th NFL season. He's the only quarterback in NFL history, is Ryan Fitzmagic, to start and throw touchdowns with 8 different teams. Now he'll be going for a 9th different team. All right. So Ryan Fitzpatrick leaving the Dolphins. We talked a little bit about Jameis Winston yesterday. He has signed a one-year deal with the Saints, with Drew Brees announcing his retirement a couple of days ago. It looks like Jameis Winston thinks, hey, maybe I can be the starter for the New Orleans Saints. So he signs a one-year deal. I believe that was worth about $12 million. So Jameis Winston hopefully hopes to resurrect his career as the starting quarterback of the New Orleans Saints next year. We'll get into all the other NFL free agent news as the show progresses. Up next, so much for the financial crisis in college football during the pandemic. Colleges continue to throw good money after bad. I'll explain that next on Open Mic.
Bianchi's got to get a quick
Man, I went to bed so early yesterday. I mean, the sun was still just streaming into my window yesterday. Daylight savings time. Oh, it was awesome. Then I closed my curtains, put the little room darkening shades. Oh, nothing better than going to bed at about 7 o'clock at night or 7:30 and you know it's still light outside, and you know you're getting some good sleep then. When it's still light out, yeah. When it's still light out and you're in bed, that's good sleeping time right there. Yeah. What are you laughing at?
Daylight savings time kicked my ass yesterday. I was exhausted all day long.
I normally love daylight savings time, and I still do. I love
you're the
daylight
only
savings.
person who does. Why?
No.
Why? Why do you like daylight savings?
Because you have an extra hour to do things, and I get that I'm in bed early, all right? But there are times when I like to, after I get done either, writing my column for the Orlando Sentinel or, doing show prep for the radio.
That was
What was
weird.
that?
Oh no! I've made a horrible mistake. Oh no!
Yeah.
I've accidentally put the open mic theme song over place of the cheap plug thing. I've got some work to do. I'll be back.
Okay. All right. So yeah. After I write my column in the Orlando Sentinel, I'm usually done. If I have to write a column that day, I'm usually done around 5 or 6. All right. Sometimes I like to go out, maybe take my little rod and reel out to some of the nearby ponds, do a little fishing in the evening, maybe take a nice walk with my girlfriend at night, things like that. While it's still light out. In fact, that's going to be the genesis of our spontaneous text question of the day.
Text question of the day.
I'm batting 1,000 today, guys.
What is going on with your sound?
Here we go. Don't you worry. Daylight savings time will not hold me down. Here we go.
Spontaneous text question of the day.
We're good. We nailed it.
All right. With it being daylight savings time, all right, or daylight saving. What is it? Daylight savings time or daylight saving time?
Savings.
I've always heard it with the S.
Yeah.
Daylight savings time. All right. Things you can do with that extra hour of daylight during daylight savings time. How about that? What do you? How about here's what Austin will say. Be on TikTok for an extra hour. You don't need daylight for that, Austin.
I don't know what you're talking about. You definitely need all the daylight to. Here's the deal. With daylight, you get that golden hour where everything is beautiful outside, so you can record better TikToks earlier in the day or later in the day. Earlier. Words are hard. But you get the golden hour. Have you heard of the golden hour, Mike?
For the first time in my life.
I've heard of something that rhymes with golden hour.
Goodness. Gross.
For the first time in my life, I heard that this weekend.
Really?
My fiance said it as we were driving home from the beach.
Mm-hmm. There's the perfect time to take photographs.
Yeah.
Because it makes you look super tan. The lighting's perfect. There aren't any big shadows.
A little backlighting?
Backlighting, front lighting, whatever lighting you need. The golden hour is there for you.
Okay.
And it doesn't cost you $40 extra, Mike.
Correct.
Normally a photographer is scheduled during that. Matter of fact, we're scheduling our family photos and engagement photos. We're scheduled during the
golden hour.
Golden hour, yes.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Anyway, all right. So, all right. If you want to spend that extra golden hour taking TikTok videos, that's fine. I think going fishing in the nearby ponds is a good one. Maybe you can.
Mike, you would have been proud of me over this weekend.
Oh wow!
What?
I went on a mild adventure.
Mild adventure. That's stretching it. Go ahead.
What did you do?
Because I've seen it documented on Instagram. So
adventure. I went for a walk with my wife at at a forest, basically.
Yeah. In a forest on the designated trail, Mike, that millions and millions and millions of other people have trekked also.
In Sanford, there's a walkway, or there's a walking path that has some streams next to it.
Trickling stream.
Yeah,
bubbling brooks.
Absolutely, walked across a tree to get from one side of the stream to the other. It was a real adventure.
Wow, good for you.
The Native Americans called that a bridge, my friend. Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to check out more about this adventure, you can go to @RadioGuyAustin on Instagram. How about that for a cheap plug?
Cheap plug.
He's got this great shirt though. I can't lie. The shirt is great. It says "kind of fit, kind of fat" on it as well.
Absolutely.
He's kind of a little bit of both. I mean, you look at but then he does the strongman competition. To go, oh, he must be fit too.
Yeah, he's kind of fit, kind of fat.
I'm thinking of petitioning my adult soccer team to change our name to that. Kind of fit, kind of fat.
There's a whole clothing line of kind of fit, kind of fat apparel, and I absolutely love it.
I thought that was yours. I thought you made that up.
No. I wish, but I think the world's strongest man competitor, Martins Lises, is the main guy for kind of fit, kind of fat.
All right, so text in 50857 things you can do with the extra hour of daylight savings. I like to be productive, obviously, so maybe you could do some household chores, like you always want to change the batteries in your smoke detectors. Maybe change your
Wait, your smoke detectors have batteries? I take the batteries out of my smoke detectors the moment I show up.
Hold on. Wait, that's the alarming. The fact that his smoke detectors are outside, so he'd need the extra daylight to change the batteries is the part that blows my mind.
No, you needed to be really light to do that. All right?
I can only change these batteries during the noon hours where the sunlight is the brightest.
Mike, maybe you should get some new light bulbs to fix the inside of your house.
You know what else? You could do? Like something you never do, like flip and rotate your mattress. You could do that as well. I need to do that. Maybe I'll do that tonight during that extra hour.
These are all things you could do at any time of the day because these are in your home.
No, because you have an extra hour to do these things. All right.
Wait,
you have an extra.
No, you don't have an extra hour.
Yeah. In my mind, I have an extra hour. All right. I can look outside at 6 o'clock and it's still light, and I go, let me rotate my mattress now because I have this extra hour to play with.
Can I tell you how daylight savings time really got me yesterday? I helped take care of Trina's grandfather, during the days. And the extra hour for him kind of tricked him. So when I get there, normally he's up and he's ready for breakfast and all that stuff. I get there and he's still in bed. And I'm walking to the door. I hear the TV on. And I don't see him sitting where he normally sits. And then as I'm getting closer, I'm like, "Oh, please move! Please move! Please move! Please move!
Come on now,
please move!" And I see his feet moving. Okay, all right. Grab. You know what time it is? It's almost 10. What?
Text those into 50857. Up next, Dan Mullen is making Pack the Swamp comments again, but this time in a more responsible manner. I'll explain next on Open Mic.
Whether you're drinking your morning coffee
factor in the game. And so I certainly hope our university administration follows the governor. Our governor has passed a rule that we're allowed to pack the swamp. We have 90,000 in the swamp to give us that home field advantage that Texas A&M had today.
Everybody remember those comments from Dan Mullen generated national headlines? Dan Mullen got a bunch of backlash with calls to pack the swamp. That was back in October, 5 months ago, after Texas A&M upset the Gators, who were ranked number 4 in the country at the time. And Dan Mullen thought that there were more than the allotted fans at Texas A&M Stadium and said, we need to pack the swamp. And his own AD and school presidents essentially said, shut up, Dan. Shut up and coach football.
Who was the guy? Who was the guy at UF that was like a pretty smart doctor guy? Goes, you don't see me calling plays out there, okay?
Yeah, yeah. He was like the head of infectious diseases at UF. Yeah. So he got called on the carpet for those comments. Well, yesterday, Dan Mullen, obviously with the pandemic, easing up a bit. Vaccinations are out, and a lot of people getting vaccinated now. Dan Mullen explained how he was at the Players' Championship over the weekend on Saturday, and he talked about, the crowds at the Players' Championship, even though they were at 20% capacity, allegedly, 20% capacity. He said it was great to see fans at the Players' Championship, and the atmosphere was great. And then he said this about packing the swamp this fall.
Hopefully we're able to get back to some normalcy in the fall when we hit the field again. And I think all the Gator Nation is going to be excited. Everyone I see, they're like, well, I hope we can pack the swamp. I hope we can get there. I hope we get it back to where we want it to be as the fans, that they're desperate to get back into the stadium and to go experience Saturdays in the swamp. And so, hopefully through all the precautions, everything going on, we're able to stay safe and we're able to fill the stadium this fall.
He almost didn't want to say it.
Yeah.
Pack
so
the
there
swamp.
He goes. With all the precautions and the protocols and all of that. So Dan Mullen now, obviously, again, it's a different time. We're 5 months later, so his comments aren't going to be perceived the same. And he just sounded. Do you think Dan Mullen now realizes what a buffoon he was when he made those original comments, and now he just sounded more mature, didn't he?
Well, he wasn't. Here's the truth, and I believe this wholeheartedly. And half the reason why people in the media love to get quotes right after games is because they're in like an emotional state, and sometimes you get something that probably isn't that well thought out. Think about some of the things you said in some of your worst emotions after a loss, or after you've been hurt, after a fight with your ex-wife. Yeah, yes. Think about some of the things you say, and you take some of those quotes and you put them down on paper, and then you read them back to yourself 6 months later, and you go, "I said that? That was stupid, man. I wouldn't normally say something like that." And I think that's what it is.
But if you'll remember, Mullen made the original comments, and I actually came back. It was like 5 or 10 minutes later on the Zoom call, and I said, "Dad, did you really mean?" I actually gave him a chance to correct himself, and he didn't.
And then the following press conference, he also didn't back away from it after getting slapped around by upper
I
management.
also think that, listen, Dan Mullen's a human being, okay? Dan Mullen's, doesn't live in the vacuum that is, I'm a football coach at your favorite or, your least favorite university. He's also a human being. He may have political beliefs, okay? Like the friends you talk to at the barber shop or at the coffee shop.
Yeah.
That he may be one of those guys
sure he does.
that just doesn't believe in it, and thinks that we should, everything should be open. He probably believed that back then. Then took the backlash, but then didn't really want to back off of his own personal beliefs. But also knew that he had to sort of soften them a little bit. when the university and the president and super smart guy said, hold on, this is way off base. He certainly sounds way more thoughtful about it now, as he should. I think most people, when they reflect on something they've said and have a chance to sort of recognize we're in a different place, maybe you should be in a different place. He's had the opportunity to sound better. I think he sounded better. We've got what do we have? 3 vaccinations out there working right now. More to come, I'm sure of it.
I think Dan Mullen knows he screwed up. All right, I think this past year at the University of Florida has humbled Dan Mullen. And again, the guy has an ego, as do most college football coaches. But when you look at all of the controversy he caused last year, I think the NCAA probation, not getting his contract extended, I think it's finally hit home to Dan Mullen. Like, man, I need to get my act together here. And again, I don't know if these comments are an indication of that, but how could he not have matured? How could he not have understood what a buffoon he looked like last year with some of the comments he made, some of the actions he had? I mean, he's been roundly ridiculed by just about everybody that's not a avid Gator fan. Everybody in the media, other fan bases, his own administration, they've all called him on the carpet, and he didn't get his contract extension.
I don't know.
Probably not getting the contract extension really made him realize, man, I've done some bad things here.
I don't know. Everyone has that friend that when things are good, things are really good, but when things are bad, they're really bad. Everyone's had that relationship. That's kind of what this feels like with Dan Mullen, is that right now things are good. He's excited. Everyone is excited for things moving forward and things are looking up. And so he's happy. Things are good. What's going to happen when the first loss happens? What's going to happen when something in the program happens where he's no longer thought of as this great guy?
Well, Mike, I was going to ask you this.
You think he's going to devolve back into the bratty Dan Mullen?
I do think so.
Let me ask you this, Mike, because I was thinking about this. Do you think that there's part of Dan Mullen who was a little bit surprised at the way he was sort of treated, regardless of his actions? Because he was here under Urban. And because Urban was winning championships, none of his behaviors mattered. None of the things he said, none of the things he did, none of the players he had on his roster, none of the players that he defended in the media. Remember Urban Meyer literally bowed up on a writer at one point at practice.
Yeah, Jeremy Fowler.
Yeah,
Jeremy Fowler. He was working at the Sentinel at the time.
An action that absolutely deserved some sort of criticism from the university and maybe even some discipline, but really could get away with anything he wanted to. And remember, Dan Mullen was on that staff, so when Dan Mullen takes the job at Florida, you think that part of him believes, I can kind of do anything I want to here. They're always going to have my back because they always had Urban's back. And then he got here and he goes, man, I say one thing about packing the swamp and now everybody's against me. I don't understand. One Darth Vader mask and now I'm the bad guy. I don't understand. I was here under Urban Meyer.
Yeah, I sort of admire Scott Strickland for sort of standing up to Dan Mullen this past season. Again, didn't give him the contract extension, called him on the carpet after the pack the swap comments. So I sort of admire Scott Strickland.
Well, and especially because Scott Strickland was his boss. At Mississippi State, that he probably thought, there's probably part of him that goes, wait a minute, this is not what I signed. I signed up to be the man. The head football coach at Florida is the man here around here. How am I getting called to the carpet?
Why am I not being treated like the man?
That's right.
Man,
I saw Urban Meyer get treated the way he was treated. They loved him here.
Well, Gus Malzahn is the man at UCF right now. He held his first spring practice yesterday, and I'm wondering what would be a reasonable expectation for the Gus bus in year one. We'll delve into that topic next on Open Mic.
Open Mic. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
Welcome back to Open Mic. Give us a call, 407-916-8255. Tweet us at 969 The Game. You can text us on our Academy Sports and Outdoors text line. That's 50857. We also want you to go vote on all of our polls at 969 The Game on Twitter, our thought-provoking daily poll. We were just talking about it. Dan Mullen had another Pack the Swamp comment. Let's see how we worded this poll, if I can find it here real quick.
Yeah, I had to edit it down a little bit from what you...
Yeah, we got a little wordy. Yeah. All right, so here's what it says. 5 months after his original Pack the Swamp comments created so much controversy, Gators coach Dan Mullen said in a more sensible manner that hopefully the Swamp can be full in the fall. Mullen's more responsible comments are mostly an indication of what? And you have two choices. The pandemic is almost over, or Mullen has matured. I would say, I think it's more that Mullen has matured. That's what I think. Yes, the pandemic is hopefully getting close to being over, and hopefully the vaccines are going to rid us of the pandemic, but Mullen was very, very careful yesterday to say, hey, hopefully with all the precautions and protocols that we can fill the swamp. You know, last fall he was like, our governor says we can fill it, so by God, let's fill it. How would you guys vote on this?
I think that, the pandemic, with all the vaccines and whatnot, I think that, he recognizes now it's an easier time to say this. Oh, by the way, it's the off season. Oh, by the way, he's not standing in a locker room after taking a loss to Texas A&M, in which he believed they had, packed whatever it is, packed the Kyle. So I think it's a little bit of both. But I've got news for Dan Mullen, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but listen, every college football fan from every fan base wants to get back to the normalcy that we enjoyed on Saturdays around this country. Believe me, you don't think in South Bend, Indiana, they're not waiting to pack, wherever they're playing, not that Miami fans have ever packed a stadium. It wasn't for a big game, but believe me, we'd like to pack the Hard Rock at some point, and hopefully we get there.
I wonder what the stadiums are going to be like this fall. And we've talked about this before. Obviously, college football attendance was starting to shrink even before the pandemic. Do you think people are going to be so eager and antsy to get back out and sort of, congregate like they used to, and sort of the communal aspect of sports? People are going to want to get back out there in full force, or do you think
50%.
As we've talked,
50%.
What you think?
50% of the fans that were there on Saturdays 3 years ago can't wait to get back. Aren't thinking about pandemic, don't really care about, don't believe in it, don't really.
I'm not even talking about pandemic. I'm talking about more, okay, they've been away from the stadiums for a year. They've figured out, hey, it's kind of nice to watch it at home on my 90-inch TV screen. Don't have to, fight the traffic and all of that. And, don't have to get a hotel up in Gainesville and Tallahassee. I think there's going to be a significant drop-off in attendance. I don't think people are just going to flock and fill the swamp with 90,000 fans.
Yeah, you may be right that people substitute. Now, but there is no replacement. And believe me, I love watching the game at home. I love being in the center. But there's no replacement for that game day atmosphere of a big game. No. Florida, LSU, Florida State, Miami, Florida State. There's no replacing that at all. The game day experience at home is so much greater today than it was 15 years ago that it is an option for you. And oh, by the way, I'm sure over the last year we've all become accustomed to, hey, are you coming over to my house for the big party this weekend? And people learned to sort of delegate that responsibility. But I do believe that there is going to be an absence makes the heart grow fonder type feel towards college football when they open the doors back up. There are going to be a lot of people that miss being there on game day, going back to their alma mater, spending that time tailgating and whatnot. There'll be people that come back. I just hope that to get people in, they are able to, at the front door, make sure that you've had the vaccines by checking the microchip that they've implanted in all of us.
You know they have.
I told Trina, I was like, I can't wait for the second one. That's the one that gets the microchip in me. I can't wait for that.
Well, not the Johnson & Johnson one. They just put it in you with the first.
Oh, first go. All right.
Yeah, that's where you get the microchip in you. All right, so UCF held its first college football practice under new coach Gus Malzahn yesterday. They'll have 15 spring practices that began yesterday with the new coaching staff, with a new approach. Here was Gus Malzahn talking about his first day on the job at UCF.
Just trying to set the standard, count on me. We need to make sure we can count on each other. And they're getting used to their coaches too, but it was real exciting. I love the spirit of this group. I'll tell you that. That's what I told them after. I mean, we've got some potential and looking forward to working with this group.
We got some spirit. We got spirit. Yes, we do. We got spirit. How about you? We got spirit. Yes, we do. We got spirit. How about you? You guys remember that cheer back in high school?
I remember that cheer, but I'm always interested. I mean, is this something that has been happening in college football for a long time? It seems like every year they pick a mantra. What is it? Count on me?
Count on me?
Yeah, so that's going to be the battle cry this year's count on me. You can count on the coaches. I can count on you.
Instead of go 1-0, it's count on me.
Was that the thing last year?
Yeah.
Was go 1-0?
No, that was 2 years ago. Yeah, last year was your juiceless year. No, I don't know what last year was, but 1-0 was two years ago under Josh Heupel.
So this is something that the coaching staff has to come up with every year. Guys, come on, let's brainstorm.
I don't know if that's their mantra or not. But play that again. Play that one clip again.
Just trying to set the standard, count on me. We need to make sure we can count on each other. And they're getting used to their coaches too, but it was real exciting.
Yeah,
it's the hashtag.
Sounds like that is going to be the mantra.
Because didn't the Magic every year change theirs? Remember one year
Pure Magic. I don't know what this year's Magic is.
Maybe they gave up on that.
This year's is I'm hurt again.
Hey, look at our roster disappearing. Ta-da!
All right. Gus Malzahn also had this to say yesterday after his first spring practice.
Yeah, I told him it's just attitude and effort. And I'll talk about that winning attitude, how you respond. There's going to be some ugly things. There was today. Well, I don't expect the timing to be perfect. I don't expect that, the steps to be perfect, but the attitude can. That coach me, coach attitude, how they respond to adversity. We strained them. We wanted to see how they're going to respond once they got tired, once they got hot. And I think for the most part, the guys that didn't, they kind of stuck out like a sore thumb. So it was really good to kind of see where we're at. But I do think we got a whole bunch of guys that want to be coached, that want to be good. And that was the encouraging thing for me.
But there was a little different you're right about that, Austin. Even though Gus Malzahn is, he talks in coaching cliches too, he's just more interesting than Josh Heupel. I don't know if it's his tone, his accent, whatever it is, but Josh Heupel was hard to listen to Josh Heupel's post-game comments.
Josh Heupel seems so disconnected from what he was saying. It sounded like he knew it sounded like he was reading a script. Whereas with Gus Malzahn, it's like, I think he believes this. This sounds like coach speak, but I think he actually believes what he's saying.
Plus, he's just more conversational. Josh Heupel, and again, nothing against Josh Heupel. We appreciate him being on our show every week during the football season. But Josh Heupel he just was not comfortable in a what's the word in a
public speaking setting.
Yeah, public speaking setting. Yeah, he wasn't. Obviously he's at Tennessee now, so he better get comfortable with it fairly quickly. Because again, Josh Heupel is not the best public speaker. He's not the most interesting guy in an interview type setting or with fans at a booster club and things like that. So, but hey, the players like him. So that's all that really matters, I guess. That's all that matters. So anyway, when Heupel was at UCF, and it started when Scott Frost got to UCF, they would blare the music at practice, whether it was hip hop music or whatever type of music. They would blare the music at practice. That was when Scott Frost took over from George O'Leary. That was sort of the players were like, "Wow, we get to play music at practice," and again, the players would be dancing to the music during practice. Same continued under Heupel, but now that Gus is there, no music. Ooh. No music on the practice field.
Oh, we're serious now.
Yeah, Gus wants them to be attentive on the practice field.
Maybe that's initially until he gets their attention. Maybe they've earned it. I remember when Urban got to UF, he took all the practice the gear away. Like all your Florida Gator shirts that they give you when you get there, you had to earn that. You had to earn it.
That's right.
Yeah, so maybe music is something that those players, it's a little carrot to dangle. Hey, listen, once I feel like you guys are dialed in, got the playbook, and I don't have to explain everything 6 times, then we can play. What is it that you kids listen to? A baby? You play the baby? It's a baby? Duh, baby? D.A., baby?
Little Dicky? What's that? Little Dicky?
Yeah, Little Dicky.
You're talking about? Yeah.
That's right.
So, anyway. All right, let's pause for station identification.
WYGM Orlando, WJRR HD2 Cocoa Beach, Orlando. Facebook.com/969 The Game.
What you reading there, honey?
It's very exciting stuff, you see. It's the front page of the internet.
Here we go with the front page of the internet this morning. We start off on YouTube's trending page where the videos, the live performances from the Grammys are starting to make their way atop YouTube's trending page.
Oh, yes. It's Billie Eilish. I love Billie Eilish. Her performance was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Did Billie Eilish perform? I don't think she did.
Billie Eilish, yeah. I mean, she was awesome during the
She took home record of the year.
She took home record of the year, but I don't think she performed because she's not on YouTube's trending page right now. Number one, can you take a guess? From the year of music, what song would be the number one atop YouTube's trending page? Take a guess.
Oh, God.
Controversial song.
Oh, WAP.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah. WAP song.
Cardi B featuring Megan Thee Stallion, number one video.
Oh, their performance.
Yeah, their performance.
Oh, my God. The choreography in that was amazing.
A lot of controversy coming from it, though.
I love Megan. I loved Megan Thee Stallion when, early in her career when she was just Megan the Shetland pony.
There you go. Nice.
Yeah.
So what was the controversy? It was the choreography, right?
Well, the controversy was a lot of people saying, I don't understand why they're allowed to put porn on my TV. A lot of people didn't like the
totally agree
sexual
with that.
innuendo.
Okay, boomer. Okay,
we
boomer.
don't want these gyrations on our TV screen. We need we need music like the great Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, Mel Torme, the Velvet Fog, guys like that. Maybe a little Doris Day singing Que Sera, Sera. That was music, and they didn't need the gyration.
They didn't need WAP or Harry Styles singing Watermelon Sugar, which is a euphemism for eating something else. We should move on, though, before I get in too much trouble. That top video has 4 million views, by the way. Happy birthday today to kind of a weak group of birthdays today. But let's go with happy birthday to Blake Griffin.
Blake Griffin is 32 today.
He's 30.
He's 32 years old. Well done. Nice. Well done, Mike. And then trending over on TikTok, besides my wife and I's TikTok page at Actually Average, which has 3 videos over 100,000 views over the weekend. Boom! Let's go! Anyway, but the real trending thing over on TikTok is hashtag Nature's Cereal, okay? People are doing a thing where instead of having regular sugary cereal, this is what they're having. It is blueberries, pomegranate seeds, ice,
I like pomegranate,
and coconut water. That's their cereal now.
Ice sounds good.
Ice, like crushed ice. Like they pour crushed ice in their coconut water and their blueberries and pomegranate seeds, and they're like, it's just as good as Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
I mean, I would do all that without the ice. I don't know. It seems weird.
It is weird, right? It's an unblended smoothie.
It makes it sort of a slushy. Yeah. Fruit slushy, yeah. Sounds good to me.
This TikTok hashtag has over 372 million views going on since it started about a week ago. And, I mean, I'm all for people eating healthy, but at the end of the day, don't tell me that these berries are better than Cinnamon Toast Crunch, okay?
I love blueberries.
I love blueberries, too, and blackberries.
Yeah, pomegranate seeds, that's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
To get pomegranate seeds, so I'm out on that. Substitute that with something else, and I'm in there.
Raspberries, blueberries, yeah.
And that's the front page of the internet today.
We used to go blackberry picking when I was a kid in the woods of Interlock and getting those blackberry brambles and bushes.
I fell out of a tree when I was 8 years old, picking some berries out of a tree and broke my collarbone.
Ooh.
Picking berries out of a tree. What kind of berries were you picking out?
I have no idea.
Elderberry tree or something?
Maybe that's what it was. But I was up in the tree and there's a huge one and I was reaching for it, and then over my skis. And then boom, I hit the ground.
Mark Daniels just texted in that music will be back at practice next week.
Yeah, no. I was going to say that'd be a tough sell to kids nowadays. Like, wait a minute, we don't have our music.
I don't think Dan Mullen has music at practice. Maybe he does.
I'm sure of it.
You think he does? Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
He's he's one of the cool.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Gus Malzahn, the defensive coordinator on the staff, when they were together at Auburn, it was at Auburn. He had him make up a rap song. I believe. I want to say that I want to say that I heard part of Mark's interview with him with the defensive coordinator whose name's slipping my mind. He was at Miami for like a week. Was it Travis Williams?
Yeah, it was Travis Williams.
I want to say that he had him create a rap song, and it became like Auburn's tunnel music where they come out of the tunnel and stuff. So Gus Malzahn's not a anti-music guy. He's a pro music guy. He's got his coaching staff making songs for him, or at least did at one point, or at least I thought that's what I heard.
Yeah. Okay.
I could have just made that whole thing up.
I googled it.
We'll ask. Yeah.
And
Speaking of Auburn, what'd you Google? What you got?
Found out Coach T. Will freestyle raps after practice. Yeah. And Gus Malzahn has jumped on.
See if you can find a YouTube clip of T. Will.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, make sure.
Yeah, see if you can. Yeah,
I'm sure it's totally fine.
Suitable.
Of course it is. Speaking of Auburn. All right, so again, I don't get college football. We're supposed to be in a financial crisis here in college football. All right, so Auburn, they hired a new coach after they fired Gus Malzahn, Brian Harsin, who was coaching at Boise State. So somebody got a hold of his contract numbers yesterday. So Auburn hired Brian Harsin to a 6-year contract worth $5.25 million per year. All right? $5.25 million. And I'm not saying Brian Harsin's not going to be a good football coach at Auburn. Maybe he will. But why did Auburn have to hire him for $5.25 million? He was making like $1.8 at Boise State. Couldn't they have offered him like $3.5? Couldn't they have offered him $4? Why do you have to give him $5.25 million when he would take less? Why?
SEC.
Why?
We got to do
because
why?
I just think that when you have your guy, he's going to name a number, you're going to name a number, and you don't want to haggle because you don't know if there's another job that's going to open up at a certain point around that time that maybe he's interested in as well. And so you're willing to pay the premium to get your guy. And look at
there were not. I don't know that there were any other jobs open up.
Yeah, but you don't want to risk it. I guess if you have your guy, you recognize, look, this is where the market is right now. Blame Spurrier. Spurrier started all this mess way back.
Again, the markets. That's not the mark. I mean, there are coaches in the SEC that make $4 million.
Who makes $4 million in the SEC? What does Dan Mullen make?
Well, Jeremy Pruitt was making $4 million at Tennessee. I don't know what Josh Heupel's. What's Josh Heupel making at Tennessee now? Is he making? Maybe he's making $5 million now. But again, I just don't see what. I just don't understand the thinking of college athletic directors when they fire coaches left and right and they have these huge buyouts. All right, why would you? Do you really think Brian Harson's going to last 6 years at Auburn? I don't.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny about this is that we spent the last 20 years talking about whether or not the kids should get like 50 grand, and nobody ever thought to say, "Hey, where should the ceiling be on these coaching salaries? Where should that money stop?" And where are we now? We're at $10 million a year, $8 million a year. I don't know what Saban's getting. I don't know what Dabo Sweeney's getting, but probably in the $8 to $10 million range.
They're getting about $9. I think they're getting about $9 to $10 million a year.
Yeah. Remember 20 years ago when we were like, "Oh man, let's give the kids like 50 grand a year," and people were like, "That's ridiculous." And and then the coaching salaries have just gone, parabolic. And now there's no putting that cat back in the bag too. Who's going to be the first coach who says, "Oh man, that Alabama job opened up because Nick Saban, left. I'll take $3 million to coach that. I really would love to coach at Alabama."
If I were the AD at Auburn and I wanted Brian Harsin, who was making 1.8 at Boise State, you know what I'd say? I'd say, okay, I'll double your salary. Here's 3.5 to come to Auburn. Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. Not 5.5 for crying out loud.
By the way, Mike, you said I don't know if another job opened up. We know that Tennessee opened up. We do know that. Yeah. So you when you recognized that's going to be your guy.
But they'd already hired Brian Harsin long before Tennessee opened up. That hire was weeks ahead of time. That was weeks ahead of the Tennessee job opening up. So anyway, all right, straight ahead, we're going to get into the sound off. That's coming your way next on Open Mic.
This is Markel Fultz of the Orlando Magic. When it comes to sports radio, Open Mic is my number one overall pick.
Some people still think they're saving a bunch of money with these do-it-yourself alarm systems. I'm telling you, you're not. In most cases, you're not saving Sound Off brought to you by Bracket Mayhem. Test your bracket skills. See if you can land yourself a life-changing amount of cash. Fill out the perfect bracket for your shot at $1 million. It's Bracket Mayhem at 969thegame.com/contests.
Honestly, all in all, I didn't want to go nowhere. I mean, I have a legacy here that I'm trying to chase, and I'm trying to make trying to stamp, and I'm just trying to win more Super Bowls. Dealing with all the stuff that I dealt with, previous 8 years, and then it's finally you win one, and then finally up and leave. I'm like, nah, man, I want to keep on winning, man. This team, this organization, this city deserves a lot more, and I want to be a part of it.
So that's Levante David, who just signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, got an extension, a well-deserved extension for all he's done for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But he said that, he didn't want to leave. And for the other free agents that are left, Leonard Fournette, Antonio Brown, and Ndamukong Suh, Ryan Suckup, what do you think they are feeling in that same vein? Do they want to be in Tampa Bay for the Super Bowls, or are they trying to get the most money they can?
No, I think everybody would want to be in Tampa Bay for the, to try to win another Super Bowl. Obviously, we saw it with Shaq Barrett. He re-signed with the Buccaneers yesterday. Gronk re-signed with the Buccaneers yesterday. You mentioned we just played the clip from Levante David. Chris Godwin, who got franchised. He didn't really have a choice. He got franchise tag, so he'll be back with the Buccaneers next year. But Yes, I think Antonio Brown would love to be back with the Buccaneers next year, but I don't know Antonio Brown's financial situation. I don't know Leonard Fournette's financial situation. If they can make significantly more money, especially Fournette, who's a running back, and we all know that running backs' lifespan in the NFL is NFL, not for long. If he can make, $3 or $4 million more to go somewhere else, of course he's going to do that. Who wouldn't? I would.
Sound off. I think it's just a lot of uncertainty, but we were prepared for that in the way of COVID. Just how the season went and not knowing if a game would go through or not, and just that whole process. I feel like really prepared us for this whole process of a coaching change, and it's been a whirlwind, but. I mean, I'm grateful for it. I know a lot of the guys are grateful for it, and we're ready to go. So
that's Dylan Gabriel, quarterback for the UCF Knights, talking about how, listen, there are some silver linings from COVID. It prepared us for these uncertain times with the coaching change, and he's really come a long way from pulling for Jeff Lebby to being all in on the Gus bus. What do you think about the fact that Dylan Gabriel has bought in and this team seems ready with Gus Malzahn?
Oh, I mean, at this point, didn't
have a whole lot of choice.
Yeah, having no options will make you sort of change your mind about how you feel about a lot of things. Listen, he's got really no choice but to sort of get on board and listen. It's not like they brought in a defensive-minded coach who wants to hand the ball to the running back, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. He's got a guy who's helped lead a team to a national championship game, Heisman Trophy winner. He's got on his resume as well. So it's not like he's got a guy that he shouldn't be excited about. I think that obviously he had a personal interest in Jeff Lebby, but if this is the consolation prize, I believe it was the great American poet Bartholomew J. Brooks once said, "Sometimes you thank God for unanswered prayers."
Nice.
Sound off.
I've been as harsh a critic of Jameis as anyone for one reason, really, and that is him not being able to make decisions on the field that would put his team in the best possible position to win football games via him turning it over. And that really, I'll tell you what, at this point in time in his career, other than that, what bad can you say about Jameis Winston? What knocks are there on Jameis Winston and his game and his potential upside? There aren't any.
That's Louis Riddick, ESPN insider, talking about Jameis Winston and how Jameis Winston just signed a 1-year deal for the New Orleans Saints, and he spoke very highly of Jameis Winston. And if you remember, when Jameis was around, we all spoke highly of Jameis Winston, except for that pesky turnover problem he had. Mike, do you think that Jameis, a year off from starting, a year away from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, is Jameis Winston the guy? And are you excited to see him try to be the guy?
I want to see what he looks like with Sean Payton. Obviously, Sean Payton, one of the great offensive minds in the National Football League. Yes, but Bruce Arians was a great offensive mind as well. And Jameis Winston, I got a kick out of Louis Riddick's comments there. Except for, leading the league in interceptions, what more bad can you say about Jameis Winston? Well, yeah. Except for, what's the old saying? Except for the iceberg, the Titanic was a fine cruise. All right? So, I mean, come on. He led the league in interceptions. He's a turnover machine, the pick sixes and all of that. Can Jameis Winston dial it down and be more of it? You can still throw the ball down the field, but you have to pick your spots, all right? Tom Brady threw the ball down the field a lot this past year in Tampa, but he picked his spots, and he didn't throw in the triple coverage like Jameis Winston used to. So, yes, I'm interested to see Jameis Winston in a new system after he's had time, a year, to sort of sit on the bench, reflect, watch Drew Brees, and learn from Drew Brees.
He's gotten so much better too, over the years. This is a career best year. He's been great, for several years, and he's particularly given us, nightmares. But this year it's even different. It feels like you're looking at the modern day Dirk Nowitzki.
Eric Spoelstra, big compliment to Nikola Vucevic, saying he's the modern day Dirk Nowitzki. I mean, Adam Reardon, how do you feel?
And I'm the modern day Lionel Messi. All right, come on now. Look, Vooch is a good player, but what did
modern day Dirk Nowitzki?
Yeah. Except for Dirk Nowitzki gets his team out of the first round of the playoffs. Matter of fact, Dirk Nowitzki leads his team to NBA titles. Dirk Nowitzki was so much more dynamic.
Maybe Vooch would if his team wasn't always injured. Yeah. Maybe he would lead this team to a championship. Could have done it last year.
Listen, Vooch is a really good player. Dirk Nowitzki, did he win an MVP?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure
come on. Listen, we've never even uttered Vooch's name in MVP category. Vooch is that guy who made the All-Star game because, he was a throw-in guy in the All-Star. No, not even close to a modern day Dirk Nowitzki. Are you kidding me?
Throw-in guy. The guy's averaging 26 points, 12 rebounds, 3 block shots a game this year.
He has a really good player, but Dirk Nowitzki, we say this all the time, the problem with the Magic, there's nobody to get the ball to in crunch time when they need a bucket. Vooch isn't that guy. He's going to give you the workman numbers, the really good numbers too. I mean, but he's going to do that night in night. But
workman numbers, 20. Did you just hear me? 26 points, 12 rebounds,
hold
3
on, guys,
points, 7 assists.
We got to go to break. Let's continue this on the other side of the break. How does that sound?
Okay, we'll do that.
Open mic. Right. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
I'm sorry.
this year, Vooch is not. Austin, see if you can look up. Vooch is definitely a better rebounder than Dirk ever was. All right. I don't know if Dirk ever. Vooch is averaging 11.6 rebounds per game this year, and Vooch always averages a bunch of rebounds. Dirk Nowitzki, I don't know if he ever averaged that. I don't even know if he ever averaged double-digit rebounds. All right, and you could say, well, he did other things. He did, but Vooch 3.7 assists this year. I don't know. He's just playing lights out this season, despite the fact that he's on an awful team.
Just feels like it feels like every time there's like a dynamic wide receiver who shows up at Florida, he's the next Percy Harvin. He's the next white European guy who's 7 foot tall, who can score a little bit.
Modern day
I mean, Nikola Jokic does the same thing.
I know. I mean, listen. And Nikola Jokic has had more success, team wise. Now I think he's got better players around him as well.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
So I've got the number for you.
Okay.
Dirk came so close in 2000, from 2000 to 2002. So for 2 seasons, he averaged 9.9 total rebounds.
That's 10 rebounds.
That's 10 rebounds. We'll give it to him.
No, I'm not giving it to him. Never had double-digit rebounds.
Never.
11.6 this year and always averages double-digit rebounds.
What was Dirk's highest scoring season?
His highest scoring
Probably not much more than Vooch's right this season.
His highest scoring season, he averaged 26.6 points per game. And in that year, he averaged 8.9 rebounds per game and 3 assists.
Okay, and Vooch is averaging what did I say? 25. 25.
But Dirk was doing it in a less offensive time too. Yeah. We're gonna compare eras here. Listen, the numbers are similar, but
it's not like Dirk played during
I'm teasing.
It's not like he played during the Bill Russell days, for crying out loud.
What I'm saying is that the difference, and probably the biggest difference for me is big points. Vooch hasn't scored big points in his career. You know what I mean? And part of that is because
you mean like the 38 he had against the Heat the other night?
But I'm talking about in the victory over the Heat.
No, in the loss.
In the loss, yeah. So I'm talking about shots that win games. And so Dirk has those. Dirk's led his team, and maybe that part of that problem. And maybe this is a discussion. Remember, we had a talk about Vooch wanting to stay in Orlando. I really like Orlando. It's good, Maybe at some point, if he wants sort of the acclaim that why it feels like the gap between those guys is bigger than it actually is because he did play somewhere. That Dirk did have playoff success, and if Vooch ever wants to be in that discussion as greatest European players ever in the NBA, maybe he does have to go somewhere, or wait for Orlando to get it together and get everybody healthy and make a run to the playoffs that I don't particularly see coming, but. Maybe that's what it takes. Now, Dirk's a guy who, went through tough times in Dallas and then certainly delivered them a championship.
Well, but here's the one other difference, okay, that is pretty important here. Dirk is a 14-time All-Star and a 12-time All-NBA player. Vooch isn't coming close to that, even if he plays another 14 years.
Yeah, he's not an All-NBA.
He just isn't.
No. Yeah. No, and again, I'm just saying this year, Vooch is Dirk-like. This year. And last year, really. He had a great year.
Minus the wins and all.
Minus the wins.
The wins and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, minus the wins and championships, other than those. Yeah.
Other than those 2 little minor things.
Man, no one cares about championships. It's all about individual statistics.
Honestly, Tom Brady's a lot like Vinny Testaverde. Except for all the championships and all the wins and stuff. A bunch of yards and all that stuff. Played in the league for a long time. He just happened to win some championships and some playoff series and games and stuff like that.
Hey, Eric Spoelstra knows a lot more than either one of us.
That's
and
true.
If Eric Spoelstra, perhaps the best coach in the NBA, says that he's Dirk-like, then I'm not going to disagree. All right. Straight ahead, Archie Miller fired at Indiana as the basketball coach. Remember when Gator fans wanted to hire Archie Miller instead of Mike White? Is it time for a mea culpa? That's next on Open Mic.
Open Mic, the best radio show in town. Isn't that to put the pedal to the floor. It's loud and live and local. Oh, time for open mic.
Welcome back to Open Mic. I'm Mike Bianchi, the Bulldog, sports columnist of the Orlando Sentinel, joined as always by Adam Reardon, the Deceptive Intellect, and of course Austin Pastolka, the Sultan of Sound.
Yeah.
Together we are Open Mic, the troika of sports talk radio excellence in the megalopolis we know as home, right here in Central Florida. So many ways to listen to us. FM 96.9 The Game, that's our main call letters, if you will. Then we have AM 740. If you really want a clear signal, how about HD radio 101.1-2? That's on the FM dial. If you don't hear us good on FM, go to AM. If you don't hear us on AM, you can always hear us on HD FM 101.1-2. You can also listen on your phone by downloading the free iHeartRadio app. Anything you don't hear live, you can find us on podcast. Again, on the iHeartRadio app. Just search for Open Mic on Demand. That's our entire show on podcast. You can also watch us live and in color on Twitter, on Twitch, and on YouTube. Just go to YouTube, search for the Open Mic live stream, and there we are. Adam Shadoff, Fox 35 sports anchor. He will join us around 8 a.m. this morning. Perhaps we're going to tackle all the hot topics of the morning with Adam Shadoff at 8:15. Our magic word. The legend will join us this morning, David Steele, Orlando Magic broadcaster extraordinaire. We'll talk a little Magic basketball. We'll run the Eric Spoelstra comment by David Steele. See what he says about Vooch being a modern day Dirk Nowitzki. Is it Nowitzki or Nowitzki?
Nowitzki, according to basketballreference.com.
Really? I think Eric Spoelstra called him Nowitzki. A lot of people call him Nowitzki. But you're saying it's Nowitzki.
I'm just going off of the pronunciation guide on basketballreference.com.
Maybe we'll ask David Steele. I mean, he's been broadcasting NBA games for 30-some years. So we'll ask David Steele if it's Nowitzki or Nowitzki.
Most people say Tour de France.
Nice.
Tour de
France.
And it's Tour de France.
Tour de France.
France.
Tour de France.
Parlez-vous français?
That's right. Tour de France.
Man, I love me that Tour de France.
Me too. I love me some Hors d'Oeuvres too. A little some of those appetizers. All right, I want to get to this story real quick because I get a kick. All right, so I know this huge Gator basketball fan. All right, you might even know him, Adam. His name's Chip Namius. All right. Chip Namius used to work at he went to the University of Florida long ago. He used to work at UF in the sports information office. I think he was the Miami Dolphins sports PR guy for a lot of years. Now he does something in the movie industry out, and he's a publicist for the movie industry out in LA. All right, but he's an even bigger Gator basketball fan than he is a Gator football fan. All right, so he's one of these guys that when Billy Donovan was losing in the first weekend of the tournament for like 4 or 5 straight years, he's one of these guys who said Billy Donovan's overrated as a coach and blah 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 blah. Then he can't hang with the top coaches, and then of course Billy Donovan wins back-to-back national titles, and we never heard from Chip Namius again about how bad a coach Billy Donovan was. All right. Well, when the Gators hired Mike White, Chip Namius was among the many Gators. Oh, why they hired Mike White? They should go hire Archie Miller. Archie Miller needs to be hired from Dayton. That's the coach you need to hire, Archie Miller. Archie Miller. Hire Archie Miller. Do you remember when Archie Miller was the hot candidate for the Gator coaching job? Archie Miller, you remember that?
I do.
Well, Archie Miller did not get the Gator basketball job back then. Jeremy Foley hired Mike White to replace Billy Donovan, and how can you hire Mike White instead of Archie Miller? So Archie Miller stayed at Dayton, I don't know, another year maybe after Mike White was hired, and he got the Indiana coaching job. Indiana, great basketball tradition, national championships, basketball school. They packed their arenas for basketball games, and Archie Miller was hired by Indiana. And you know what happened yesterday? Archie Miller got fired by Indiana. You want to know why Archie Miller got fired by Indiana? Because he never went to the damn tournament. All right? Never took his team to one tournament in 4 years. All right? And Mike White takes his team to the tournament at the University of Florida, not a basketball school, by the way, takes his team to the tournament every year. All right? Every year except one, his first year. So Archie Miller, so all the Gator fans, they need to issue a mea culpa today about wanting to hire Archie Miller instead of Mike White. Austin, why don't you explain to our listeners what a mea culpa is?
Let me tell you, mea culpa, one of my favorite Latin words. Mea meaning me, culpa meaning fill my cup. I fill my cup with.
I just went and got coffee. I saw him in the room. His brain is still back in the break room.
Me culpa obviously means to be happy with filling the cup of kindness for Mr. White. Yeah, that sounds about right.
The files are in the computer?
What is a mea culpa? What is it?
A mea culpa is essentially you admit that you were wrong. All right? That's what a mea culpa is. You admit
I like mine better.
I'm culpable.
Oh, okay. That
there you go.
Okay, culpable.
Well, but I mean that's the word culpable derives from the Latin origin.
Yeah, you acknowledge that you were wrong about something.
My bad. My bad.
So Chip Namius and all of those Gator basketball, all dozen of those Gator basketball fans out there, they need to issue a mea culpa. Acknowledge you were wrong about. You gotta hire Archie Miller. God, Archie Miller.
You know what's funny is like if you're a high school basketball recruit, that today, like if I'm 17 years old, going to Florida is kind of a bigger deal than going to Indiana. You and I wouldn't understand that because we grew up in a time where Bobby Knight was at Indiana and I don't even know who was at Florida at the time.
Indiana is still a basketball school. I mean,
it's a basketball school to you, me, and people at Indiana. But to the kid growing up right now who's 16 years old, who's a 5-star McDonald's All-American, Duke, Kentucky,
North Carolina
still, but these are the schools that have had such success here over the last 10 years. Indiana's last success in the NCAA tournament was what, 1987?
Oh.
Kelvin Sampson was cheating at Indiana for a while, wasn't he? Did he? I think he had. Did he have a little bit of success?
Mike Davis made it to the Final Four one year as well, and then that was it. But as far as sustained success, I mean, there'd be no reason why a 16-year-old kid from South Carolina, who's the best high school player in the country, would be thinking about Indiana today. Not one.
Yeah.
By the way, did you see? By the way, did you see how Indiana bought out the contract of Archie Miller? See how they bought it out? No.
Oh.
All right, here's the quote. Here's the quote from the AD, all right, for buying out Archie Miller, all right? During the press conference, the AD, Scott Dolson, indicated that 2 boosters are involved, one handling the $10 million buyout and the other the cost of replacing Miller. So essentially these 2 Indiana basketball boosters are paying for the buyout. The one booster's like working over $10 million.
How do I get to know that guy?
I mean, first of all, doesn't he have anything better to do with his money? Like, donate to some charity or something.
You know what's
This
great?
is a charity.
You know what's great? That this athletic director just got so tired of getting these emails about, dude, we got to get rid of Archie Miller. And he's like, well, why don't you pay for it? Send. And the guy sent him something back. Go, yeah, well, me and Chuck have been talking about it. We will pay for it. I'll pay for him to get out, and Chuck's going to pay for the next guy to get in. And the athletic director's like, okay. All right. Sold.
Unbelievable.
Who do you think the next guy? Chuck's a friend of Rick Pitino's, and he's in the tournament.
Right? I mean, seriously, even if I were the biggest fan of a school ever, all right, I would never donate $10 million to buy out a coach. I might donate $10 million to, like, maybe to build a facility of some sort, something like that, but not to buy out a